Hi guys, this is Amit here. Today's video is going to be about subject line hack, ways that you can squeeze out the best results from your outreach. So, as you know, when it comes to outreach, you know the importance of a good subject line. It's going to greatly affect the proportion who are even going to open the email. So, by extension, the success rate and the efficiency of any link building campaign you do is obviously going to be affected by it. So, how do we maximize reach of your emails? What are the best subject lines to use? I'm going to go over the main tips, some of the main things you have to focus on. So first one is making the subject line short and sweet. So it needs to really get to the crux of the matter and not be too generic. It needs to be easy to read. So while being having a short subject line is good. You don't want anything that's too general. I've seen people just use "I love your stuff" or "your site's great." In enough volume, you probably could get results with subject lines like that, but it will reduce your efficiency. Your success rate won't be. It might not be as high. So if I was pitching a site, pitching a website to include a link to an article that I've written, it would probably look something like, let's say it was this an article about subject line hacks. I would actually put that in the subject and do something like article on subject line hacks. Gets to the heart of what the email is about. It's not too long. I find a lot of email systems cut the end of the subject line off, so once it goes over a certain number of characters, you might lose the end of it. So it's always good to have it short, but also to kind of get to the what your email is actually about. Next up is personalization. So the more personal, when you include more personalization, it tailors it towards an individual. The more personal you make an email to somebody, you do generally get better response rates. So say if I had a content piece around a subject, whether it's say it's subject line hacks again, I could pitch it like this and put, in the subject line, put video for, put their website, and then the title of their article that is relevant to my content piece that I'm asking for them to link to. So obviously you're going to take longer to personalize because you need to collect data that you use for customizing your emails like this, because you'll have to customize it differently at each point. Every single subject line will be unique, but it immediately sets an expectation of what is going to be in the email before they even open it, and they already have an idea of what you have and what article of theirs you've been reading. So it just makes it more personal. It just gets to the heart of what you're trying to ask again. Next up is aligning the subject line with the content. So I've kind of gone over that anyway, but this is when we start going into the specifics of the types of websites or the people you're reaching out to and the industry that they're in. So you want to match the language they use to your subject line. It's the type of language that they would use. So if, for instance, it's a journalist, you want to use terms like news instead of content. Well, for a blogger, they tend to have their own personal kind of preference or quirks. So maybe they run a useful Friday links post. So we could say something like an idea for your useful Friday links or something like along those lines. You just want to it's really about getting into the psychology behind who you're reaching out to and what you can do to trigger them to open the email. If it's language that they tend to use, they'll be more likely to open it. And finally, it's all really going to come down to testing and tweaking. Despite any tips that I give you or guides that you're going to see out there, or any, what works for other people, subject lines are really going to essentially come down to your individual situation, the quirks of that industry and of the people you're reaching out to. So you really do need to, test this as well and see the kind of results you're getting. So you want to track response rates, clicks, opens with something like Mailshake or BuzzStream. They're pretty good systems for doing that. I personally use Mailshake, and this can show you seems to be getting a good open rate, and you can test your subject lines. But at the same time, you don't want to focus too much on the open rate. It can be a bit of a false positive. Clickbaity subject lines might get a really good open rate, but if it's not truly aligned with the content of the email, you'll get some unsubscribes, and you'll probably have people getting a bit angry and insulting you as well if it's very clickbaity and it's not really congruent with what's in the email. Anyway, get a large enough sample size. You need to be you need like maybe 100, 200 plus emails before you get a statistically significant number to work with in terms of knowing what is actually working better than other subject lines. So rather than just focusing on open rate, you also want to be looking at what's getting positive responses and what's getting a better link success rate, and that's going to tell you what is working for your situation. So hope the video helped, and I'll see you in the next video.